So have you ever owned a car? Have you ever had a car break down or cost you lots of money for maintenance? Are you really worried about reliability when you buy a car? How about you want to buy yourself a great brand new German SUV, but you don't want to break the bank? How about the brand new 2018 BMW X1? But you want to find out what sort of reliability and concerns those cars have, and is it ultimately worth the dollars that BMW is asking? At about $30,000 to $40,000, it represents a great value on today's new car market. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with exoticcarplayplace, and today, so the latest X1 features a whole host of different engines, from 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder gas jobbies. How about 3 and 4-cylinder turbo diesel engines? Lots of different choices you can also get in. Depending on the market, you can get different transmissions, from manuals to automatics. You can get a selection and a host of different options for that car. Now, this new generation of X1 has a transversely mounted engine, and the only unfortunate part to that is the fact that you can no longer get the turbo inline 6 that you were able to get in previous generation. In the original X1, you could get that 300 horsepower turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine. You can no longer get that. You are limited to 4 and 3-cylinder engines. But that's okay. It is still a great value, still well made, and still represents the German brand. So let's get rolling into where do you start to find out where some of these problem areas are. Why don't we start with recalls? Because recalls are a great representation of what the vehicle has currently and what you can expect from it in the future. Now, fortunately, as I always say, when you talk about reliability, you keep it simple. The X1, of course, is the simplest of all of the wonderful X-Series cars in the BMW German lineup. Now, of course, with that, there's only one recall that is associated with the 2018 model year, and that is the crankshaft sensor firmware. And all that needs is an update, because with the current firmware, sometimes you can experience a lack of starting or an outright stalling altogether. Because when you compare that to the X3, there's 2 outstanding recalls, and when you go to the X5, there's actually 5 recalls associated with that car. As you see, when you work your way up the line of complexity, along comes the associated recalls. And now another way to evaluate the obvious, and that is reliability, is to find out from previous owners. One of them being the sun visors are too small. Yeah, I know, boo-hoo, but you know what? The complaint really was the fact that they're too short, and when you are facing a very sunny day, often the sun visors are too small, doesn't protect you from the blinding sun, and of course creates an obvious driving hazard. Another one that was noted by owners, these are owner noted, were engine hesitation and rough idle. Now, there is an active bulletin by BMW to actually address that issue, and don't you hate it when you're driving a car and then you pull up to a light and all of a sudden the thing starts to shake and vibrate? You guys hate that as much as I do. I know it's horrible. So that is a real concern, but fret not, everybody. BMW has a solution for that. How about this one? Here's a case where one owner was driving along in a sunny day. It was great outside, the weather was good, and there was no obvious signs of external collision. And all of a sudden there was a loud explosion and the sunroof basically imploded, effectively leaving glass everywhere. And so, of course, obviously, that's an insurance claim, get it sorted out, but in itself is a little bit disconcerting. I don't know about you, but I don't like showers of glass coming down on my head while I'm driving at the highway speeds doing 100 kilometers an hour. It doesn't appeal to me all that much. I don't know about you, not a greit situation. And then there's another one. And did you see that review I did on this car? Because I reviewed a 2018 X1 28i. Now, okay, so we're setting off in this beautiful 2018 Mediterranean Blue X1. The one that I reviewed, I had this exact problem. And the funny thing is, after doing research, I wasn't the only one that experienced this. This was actually a problem that many owners have found. And there's actually a way to disable it. And that is the rear kick feature on the rear hatchback. You know, it's great to be able to use your foot, hands-free, let that hatchback open up. But the problem is, it's too sensitive, or there's other, sensitivity related concerns there. And of course, when an owner is reaching into the trunk and they're moving things around, and all of a sudden that hatch, it decided to close down right down on top of me all by its lonesome. That was a bit of a shocker, I'll tell you. That's a problem. And that is not only something I noticed, this was something that was recognized by several owners over the course of 2018. So moving right along, we're going to talk about some of the things that BMW has recognized, through bulletins and whatever else. They've recognized there's a whole host of issues that they want to have sorted out. So if you find yourself with a 2018 model year X1 and you have some of these following problems, there are fixes, and BMW will give you a fix in most cases for free. In a lot of cases, it's software and it's quite a simple fix. But I'm going to share those with you right now. The first one is a buzzing from the Valvetronic system. Now what that tends to be is BMW recognized that there was an issue with the Valvetronic motor hitting its limits and vibrating. It's doing sort of a shake and it needs a program. So all that was a bit of an ISTA programming change, and it can sort that out, and it reduces the travel on the limits so it doesn't have that motor fighting itself and potentially burning out, because I'm sure that's likely what would happen eventually if you didn't deal with it. Another thing is the display goes black. Another ISTA update. That's all that is, but there have been displays that have gone away. Another one is the phone contact list. You are buzzing through, looking at your phone contacts on the iDrive system, and all of a sudden they're scrambled in different orders. Well, that's a problem that many owners have experienced. Yet again, it is an ISTA update. So fret not, it's a relatively simple fix, but it is a problem. The next one is navigation. Have you ever had a navigation system go flaky on you when you're buzzing down a busy highway, 6-lane highway in Southern California, and you don't know where the next turnoff is, and all of a sudden your GPS or your navigation dies on you? Hey, it's happened to me, and I don't have a map to back me up either. So this is a common problem. And so that in itself has been rectified by contacting the manufacturer, TomTom, who happens to be the supplier for the navigation systems at this new model, this X1 2018. Another issue is the memory seats. They lose their limits. So the memory seats, you hit the button and it's supposed to go so far. The limits have been reduced. There might be just a software update for that. So fret not. Again, not that serious, but again, it's software. And then another one is the check control message. One that says you do not have the key in the car. Even though you physically are holding the key in your damn hand, it is telling you there is no key in the car. That is a problem. It's not recognizing the key. There is a software update for that as well. Now, here's one a little more mechanical by nature. So you're driving along, and I'm sure you can, you can relate to this, a lot of you guys. We've all had vehicles that have made some weird noises while you're driving. So this is not an uncommon thing. However, you're driving along, gradual acceleration, and there's a humming somewhere. There's a sensation of a vibration or a humming coming through the chassis somewhere. Well, that is in fact a problem. And it is one of three things. Number one, it actually could be a loose tailgate. Ouch. You'd hate to have something like that happen. Out goes a child, or, the mother-in-law, or possibly some groceries. Something goes flying out the back because, the tailgate falls off. A second one is the rad mount. So the radiator maybe isn't mounted quite squarely and securely, and that again can transfer some of that vibration through the chassis and cause that same sensation. And the third is the engine stabilizer. Yet another issue that can be easily sorted with a quick trip to the dealer. They'll fix you up nice. So here's another one. How about your horn? You're honking on the horn at that guy that just cut you off, and you get a mechanical vibration in the horn. Well, that's really not supposed to happen for the most part. So really what that is most likely just mounting equipment. There's a bracket in there in the horn, and if it's not mounted properly, that has been a known issue. So that can be rectified again, either remounting, relocating, repairing, or just replacing it altogether. That has been a common fix for these cars as well. Now here's another scary one. We talked about the tailgate falling off, possibly. Here's one where the tailgate will unintentionally open. It'll open either when you're parked, so you can have a thief walk in and grab your goodies out of there. You've just done all your Christmas shopping, and some guy rolls along and helps himself, feeds his family. Or it can also happen while you're driving along, minding your own business, and all of a sudden, poof, the tailgate opens. Again, something precious falls out the back. And you know what? It just needs to be reprogrammed. That's it. Now here's one. Your seats. So you look at it, you're in the back seat, you look forward and you see the front seats in front of you. They're front seats there. And you look and there's foam exposed coming out from underneath the leather or the vinyl finish. You see foam popping out. Well, you talk about a lack of confidence when you've just paid a pile of money for this great new German automobile and you've got foam coming out, showing out the back. My 1998 Volkswagen Golf does not have foam hanging out the bottom of the seats. But fortunately, BMW will take care of that for you. They'll fix you right up. There will be a rework. They'll push it all back in there, refasten it with some fancy little tape, and you'll be on your way. Minor fix. Here's one that's a bit of a pain. Moisture in the headlights. You know, you've got the two headlights up front. Have you ever seen vehicles with water sloshing around in the tail lights, almost like a fish bowl, or headlights that are fogged over because they're full of condensation? Well, that condensation has been known to happen, not on one, not on two, but there's forums littered with people with this experience of the headlight assemblies fogging up because of moisture and condensation within the lenses. Well, guess what? BMW's answer to that is removal, dry it out, reinstall. Where they will replace it is if there is a water stain, like a black mark or something has created some permanent damage on the inside of the lens. They will replace that lens free of charge, generally. I should say generally. I'm not here guaranteeing on their behalf. Again, guys, you take this up with your local dealer, but that's one of the fixes. So the other one big one, and of course it's been mostly electronic thus far. This one is you're getting a whole host of Vanos lights or engine lights that are telling you you've got an engine problem or a code that's popping up, and that's causing you some distress because now all of a sudden you've got these engine lights or these codes and lights lighting up the dashboard like a Christmas tree. So that is really, really scary and quite annoying, to be quite frank with you. That is a common issue. And a lot of times these codes are coming for no good reason. Well, what it is it's strictly a software programming issue in the DME. That's basically the brains of the operation. That's the computer of this whole system. And it just needs to be updated. That's all that is. So, you know, if you do see that sort of a problem, you see a random engine light pop up, take it to the dealer, let them have a look at it. Chances are, if we're talking about a new car right now, it's under warranty, take it in there anyway. They can scan it if there's a problem. If you need a software update, they'll do that for you free of charge. So that is really the large list, the summaries of the issues that have been identified, whether through owners or identified, you know, by BMW stumbling across these issues. Now, overall, you know, I reviewed this exact car. I reviewed a 2018 28. So it in itself, I really enjoyed the drive. In my time that I got to, you know, experience this vehicle, I really, really enjoyed it. There was a few things I didn't care about. You know, the wheels I found were a wee bit small for it. But overall, the build quality was solid, had great materials. The technology was, you know, everything you could ask for from a modern day vehicle. And with the right engine, at least the one I drove, the 28i, was very, very peppy. Like, it was very quick. So you're not lacking in performance. You've got efficiency. You've got reliability, because now you're not dealing with that old diesel engine. That's the other thing I want to touch on, since we're talking reliability, is the old N B47 engine. Do you remember the old diesel 4-cylinder turbo engine that they had in the previous gen, as well as some of the other BMWs that would blow apart because of catastrophic timing chain issues? Well, they don't use that engine in this car anymore. They're now using the B37 and the B47 engines, which are a vastly improved engine in the diesel format. Of course, the gas jobbies, you've got, a couple different versions to choose from, mated to either an auto or a manual, as mentioned already. These engines are all proving to be very, very robust. And at this time, it looks as though the mechanicals of these engines are the least things to be concerned with. The biggest things is software programming, some of the electronics, connecting through Bluetooth with your phone to the system, those sort of things. Some of the electrical, some of the electronics, and that will be sorted out in most cases through a lot of these bulletins by BMW. So overall, my time with the car was a lot of fun. It's peppy, it's reliable, and it's a lot of fun to drive. And you know what? It's relatively affordable. The car I drove, the 28i, was about $40,000 Canadian. Now you can get them for a little bit less, and of course you can pay quite a bit more. However, mine was well outfitted. And you know what? That's a lot of bang for your buck. You're getting a great German car. It's very reliable and honestly a lot better, I think, than a lot of the predecessors before it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. You make sure you give it a thumbs up, like, share the video with your friends, and please everybody, I'd love you to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that little notifications button down below, that little bell right beside the subscribe button. That lets you know when the next video arrives. So thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you sticking around, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Catch you then, guys. Bye-bye.